Hello again, it's Ari Shore from the Microsoft Education team, and I'm here and joined in person by Likitha from the Intune for Education team, and I also have joining me a special guest from the great place of Canada, educator Jack Hitchings, so he'll be joining us via Skype in just a few minutes. So to recap, we've learned to set up our staff and class collaboration and started engaging students in immersive learning activities like Hacking STEM and Minecraft Education Edition. All this is great for educators, but your IT admin or the person in your school who manages all the devices will always ask these two questions. How do I enable this for you, and how do I set it up? Moreover, we know that most device setup before this school year looks something like this image that I'll show you right here. Boxes, stacks of devices, and just overall chaos. And you can see here, it is not a fun time most days around this time of year. Luckily, your answer for this back to school is Intune for Education. It's pretty simple. So what is Intune for Education? Put simply, it's a new, simpler way to deploy and manage Microsoft EdTech in your school. It's so easy, even a part-time IT person, Bob the bus driver, or someone else who's non-technical, like even an educator, can get going with it. So with that, and talking about how maybe someone not technical could get started with Intune for Education, let's throw it to Jack over in Canada, and he can talk to you about some of the things he's doing even as an educator.
Hi, Ari. Thanks for that. Hello, I'm Jack Hitchings, Director of Learning for ST70 Alberni. My responsibilities cover curriculum, instruction, assessment, and technology. Specifically, the educational value of technology to support learners and the learning process. We are a relatively small district with approximately 3,500 students from kindergarten to grade 12, distributed across 10 schools and 4 communities on Vancouver Island. Like most school districts, I expect, we have a very lean IT budget, a very lean IT department, and a very limited budget for technology. Our 3 technical staff are responsible for the management and maintenance of all of our technology infrastructure and applications, deployment and support of all user devices, software training and support, and assistive technology. An important goal for us has been to try to standardize our devices and technology tools so we are able to align our technical support and training with the tools and devices we have available. We're trying to focus our user support around Windows 10 rather than trying to provide support for multiple platforms. A challenge comes from trying to provide customized user experiences for classes, groups of students, or individual students with specific assistive technology. We've been exploring Microsoft Intune for Education for the past few months on a small scale. We've been testing the product on a couple of laptop carts in one of our secondary schools. Right now, we're in the process of setting up 30 new laptops for a science project that focuses around accessibility and multiple methods of representing student learning. So we could just image the laptops with our standard secondary image and install the different applications that we use, but we wanted to be able to customize these devices more for the specific learning tasks and experiences that these laptops will be used for in the classroom. Once Intune was set up, we created a group for these devices, selected the specific apps that we wanted to be available, including some custom apps, some custom web apps that we developed, and for testing, we kept the configuration settings fairly basic. We used a USB to install Windows 10 Education, which took about 15 minutes for each device, and then joined the device in Intune to the group. We particularly liked the way that Cortana just walks us through the entire setup process. Literally, that was all we needed to do. When we signed into the device with a test user account, the start screen and apps began downloading, and within a few minutes, the student laptop was ready to go, customized for the user and the device. We discovered a benefit of using Intune inadvertently when we realized that all the apps assigned to the student would be available when the student signed into another device or attached their school account to their personal account on their own Windows 10 device. This will be very valuable for BYOD strategies because all the apps available through the school district become available to the student on any Windows 10 device. As I said, we've only been exploring Intune for Education on a small scale, specifically from the perspective of educational value. I'm interested in using technology tools to support, augment, and ignite learning. With Intune for Education, I can quickly add an app to the group profile, and the next time the user signs in, the app will be available. I know there is a lot more to Azure and Intune, but for those of us who are not involved at the system level, Intune for Education gives us a tool to quickly deploy apps and tools that support learning and individual learners. Thanks, Ari.
Thanks so much, Jack. That was a great recommendation of how to use Intune as an educator, even on a small scale, and shows the potential for what could happen at a larger scale as well. So thank you again for joining us all the way from Canada. I'm sorry you couldn't make it in person, but we'll have to have you up in the Great Northwest sometime and join us here. Well, next, I have Likitha, as I said, and she's actually on the Intune for Education engineering team, and she's going to actually walk us through step by step how easy it is to get started and kind of lend some visuals to the things that Jack was just talking about.
Awesome. Thanks, Ari, and thank you, Jack. Right, so as Jack mentioned, Intune for Education is a streamlined device management solution designed for schools to easily manage Windows 10 devices. While building Intune for Education, our core principle was to remove the complexity a typical IT admin deals with while setting up their school devices and provide a more simplified experience that any educator or school IT person can use. So I'm going to show you just how easy it is for you or your IT staff to start using Intune for Education and manage your devices from Microsoft Cloud. All right, looks like I have dark theme on my screen right here.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so once you're on the Intune for Education console, the dashboard will allow you to quickly navigate the most used workflows within Intune. For example, managing user and device groups or applications, or school data sync, which lets you mirror your school roster data into Azure Active Directory, or you can launch Express Configuration, which will allow you to quickly and easily deploy apps and settings to a group of users or devices.
So this school data sync thing, that's actually the same thing that creates those classes in Microsoft Teams, right?
Correct, yeah. It basically has a map of all of your roster data, so it creates groups for teams, even for Intune management. I'll just quickly show you the Express configuration where you can see what groups it actually created.
Awesome.
All right, so Express configuration is a wizard-like experience that will walk you through the steps involved in setting up users and devices. You can use it to assign settings and apps to a group of users or devices in a class, school, or even the entire district in a matter of minutes. So once you get started, the first thing the admin would need to do is to choose which group they would want to manage. And all of these groups are actually automatically populated by School Data Sync. Groups like all devices, all users, all teachers, and all students allow you to broadly target the entire tenant, or if you want to scope down your app and settings deployment to a granular group, you can also choose that.
So basically large scale or small scale. Kind of like Jack was mentioning.
Absolutely. So if you have, a library computers that you are setting up for test, you can just create a group to put all those devices in a group and use that test group to try it out. All right. So for now, I'm going to configure students of Contoso High School and show how we can deploy apps and settings. All right. Once you choose the group, the next step is to choose what applications you want to deploy to that group. There's 3 types of applications that this particular workflow will allow you to deploy: web applications, Microsoft Store for Education applications, and Windows 32 applications, which are Windows desktop apps.
Like Office.
Right, exactly. All right, so web apps are really nothing but browser shortcuts that end up on the student devices when you apply them. And these can be added, or there's some popular web apps that we expose here for you to get started with. So I'm going to choose GeoGebra because I think
Oh,
it's
Mike
a pretty
showed that
popular
earlier,
one.
actually.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty popular in schools. I'm going to choose Khan Academy, and then I'm going to go over to Store for Education apps. Store for Education apps are actually directly synced from your store inventory. So if you purchased any apps on the store, or if you've just simply added free apps, they all show up here for assignment, and you can use these apps and deploy them to student devices.
So you're telling me an admin could actually curate the store that they want available to all of their teachers and then assign it to specific classes, the specific apps
Absolutely.
that they need for that class.
Right, exactly.
Oh, very cool.
So let's say, students of Contoso are doing some makerspace stuff, so I'm going to choose Arduino IDE and Duolingo, let's say, and I'm going to move on to even choosing Office Pro Plus because we allow desktop app targeting.
Very cool.
All right, so once you're done choosing your applications, you can proceed further and choose what settings you would like to deploy. Now, Intune for Education actually offers you over 150 different settings for you to choose from. Express configuration will show a subset of those settings, but the expansive list is accessible in the managing user and device groups workflow. So for example, if I want to block camera access on student devices and let me see what else. Let's say I would like to configure I would like to block access to the public store, but only allow them to install applications from the private store.
So that's that
IT
curated
configure.
set that we just talked about.
Exactly, yeah. So you can make apps available in your private store, and you can require your students to only get apps from there. All right, so essentially there's other settings, the browser settings, they're also available for you to configure. And
these are all top settings from that customers have actually asked for, right?
Exactly. These are the settings that we've observed schools to be using a lot of the time. So we make them available for you to quickly access them through this express configuration flow. Cool. All right. So once you choose your settings, the next step is to review everything that you just chose. So you selected a couple of apps for installation and then a couple of settings that you've modified. And if everything looks good, you can save your configurations and that's kind of it. So after you save your configurations, these apps and settings will be deployed to all of the student devices in Contoso High School. So in just a few simple steps, the group of users we just picked were successfully configured. And the cool thing is, as Jack mentioned earlier, apps and settings follow users no matter what device they pick up. So if settings or apps differ from students between different grade levels or between students and teachers, they will have a consistent experience no matter what device they log into.
So even if their device breaks apart in the middle of the year, Windows 10 devices are always reliable, but something happens to the device, they could pick up another device and they get all those same apps and settings right to them, right?
Exactly, yep. Yeah. That allows for, no disruptions while they're learning.
That's important.
Yeah. All right, so we're really excited for you to start using Intune for Education, and we're looking forward to hearing your feedback.
Well, thanks, Likitha. And I can personally say that, the Intune for Education team has been one of the most responsive engineering teams to feedback from all of you. I mean, obviously the OneNote team did a lot of work with OneNote Class Notebook and some of the other things, same with the Teams team as well. But, from an IT admin and, anyone managing the devices standpoint, this is a team that is really responsive to all of your feedback. So keep it coming in. On that note, we have questions coming in from the audience. And so let's see what we got. First question is, what can I do if my school already has their devices configured for the new school year? So put simply, you'll have to re-enroll those devices in Intune for Education. But do you have any quick tips for anyone who's thinking about doing that this year?
Yeah, you should definitely check out a free app on the store called Setup School PC app, which will help you create provisioning packages, and that'll make your enrollment process super quick and super easy.
And I've heard that you can actually just take the USB drive and stick it into a machine and it'll fully provision all the apps and everything.
Exactly. So it's essentially plug and play.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Second question is, can I use Intune if my school is BYOD? Again, simple answer here. Yes, you can use it if it's BYOD with Windows 10 devices for right now, but I know that there's some flexibility using some of the other technology in the stack. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Intune for Education is a fairly new product, but Intune as a service has existed for quite some time. And actually, our #1 platform on Intune is iOS. And so really we allow for...
We celebrate diversity.
Yeah. So using Intune, you can actually manage other device platforms as well. So if your students are bringing in BYOD devices, you can definitely use the broader Intune service to manage it. So when you are actually, when you purchase Intune for Education, you actually can use the Intune Enterprise Console in conjunction. Yeah.
So you get the simplicity of Intune for Education, then you get the kind of finer grain control and flexibility of Intune as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you all for your time here on this 5th period. I know it's getting late in the day for many of you, but we're excited for the things that we're bringing to all of you in terms of making your life easier for setting up devices this school year. Thanks.